Hey guys! Today we're going to read a book called Curious George and the Hot Air Balloon. And what I want you to be thinking about today is what exactly is the problem. Now, if you've read any Curious George books before, you know that he's always getting into trouble. So I want you to identify what the problem is and how that problem gets solved. So the problem and the solution. Let's read. This is George. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. He was on a trip with his friend, the man with the yellow hat. It was the end of their vacation, and they wanted to just make 2 more spots. They were in South Dakota, so of course they went to see Mount Rushmore. George had never seen anything like it. Faces of 4 great presidents, said the tour guide. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. Look, said a girl. There's something crawling on George Washington's head. The tour guide explained that some workers were making repairs to the faces. George watched the workers. Then he saw a helicopter fly by. It was taking tourists for a close-up look. George thought that would be fun. Maybe we can take a ride later, said the man. But now we need to leave or we'll be late for the hot air balloon race. So they got back into their little blue car, and before long, they came to a whole field full of hot air balloons. George was delighted to see such big balloons. He liked their spots and stripes and stars, but his favorite had a picture of a bunny on it. One balloon was not yet up in the air. Its owner was hurrying to fill it as a newspaper reporter took pictures. The man with the yellow hat watched the balloon on the ground, but George watched the balloons in the sky. He was curious. Why didn't they fly away? Then he saw the ropes. A rope is a good thing to keep a balloon from flying away, thought George. A rope is a good thing to climb. Now, sometimes when a monkey sees something to climb, he can't help himself. He has to climb it. George thought he would climb just one rope and then quickly climb down. Now y'all can hear Ruby in the background. She's saying hi to the neighbors. Hi, neighbors. But when George climbed that rope, there was no way to climb back down. The rope had come undone, and there was only one place to go. Up, up, up went the balloon, and George went with it. George flew higher and higher, and the people below grew smaller and smaller. The man with the yellow hat was tiny. The newspaper reporter was too, and the owner of the balloon wasn't very big. But he was big enough for George to see that he was angry. Now, I think that this is kind of a problem, that George is all up in this air balloon all by himself and he might not know how to fly it. It's kind of scary. George felt bad. He didn't mean to take the balloon. He didn't even know how to fly it. As the wind whisked him away, he wished he had someone to help him, but he was all alone. George climbed into the basket. When he looked around, he found he wasn't alone after all. The race was on, and he was in the lead. Together, the balloons flew across the field and over the forest. Now George was having fun. But before he knew it, He was alone again, and all the fun was gone. Flying by himself high in the sky, George was very frightened. How would he ever get down, he wondered. Oh, if only he hadn't climbed that rope. Suddenly, the wind changed. George saw something familiar. He was excited. Someone was sure to help him now. In fact, there was someone right in front of him. And who is it? It's George Washington. It was one of those workers stranded on George Washington's nose. George was so happy to see that worker, he didn't even notice how happy the worker was to see him. Slowly, the balloon floated closer. Would it come close enough? It did! The worker grabbed onto the rope and climbed up. Soon he was in the basket with George. Hooray! George was rescued! Hooray! The worker was rescued too! They sailed up over George Washington's head and landed safely in a tree. Soon, a whole crowd came to rescue them both. The man with the yellow hat was very happy to see George. The reporter was glad to have such an exciting story to report. And the owner of the balloon wasn't even angry anymore. Everyone had seen the rescue. George was a hero. After the workers thanked him, George got a special treat. He got to ride in the helicopter. The helicopter flew George and the man with the yellow hat once more, past the presidents, then back to the little blue car. As they drove away, the man said, "That was some vacation, George." George agreed. It was an exciting vacation, but they were both very happy to be home. The end. So we kind of know what the problem was and what was going on to be kind of scary for George, but I wonder if you can figure out how he solved that problem. So when you click Add Response, make sure that you're filling in the paper that has all of the information that you need to talk about. You can either talk about it with the voice recorder, or you can draw with that little tool on the paper. All right, everyone, I'm happy to see you. Have a great rest of your day.